You be all right there?
I'll be all right.
Don't die. You ate those cherry Pop-Tarts too fast. Yeah, I could tell they were cherry Pop-Tarts. I know what color frosting goes on the cherry Pop-Tarts.
Man, they're so good. I got the
cherry ones are really good, aren't they?
It was like at Walmart for $10. You got four boxes, 2 strawberries, a cherry, and a blueberry. I'm not a big fan of blueberry, but I am a fan of basically a free box of Pop-Tarts.
Oh, it came as a set?
Yeah.
Like wrapped together?
Yeah, like a bigger box.
Not like 4 for $10 and whatever ones they had.
No, so it was pretty good.
Blueberries are fine.
Yeah, I will eat them.
I will eat them.
I shall.
Even if
I shall consume.
See, I don't know what the price of Pop-Tarts is, so I don't know if even if you didn't eat a whole box of them, if it was
like $3-4 for a box,
still a deal.
So a box of 4 for $10, that's a good deal.
Yeah. So if you threw the blueberry ones out, you were still doing all right.
Oh yeah.
See,
I basically got 2 boxes for free.
I was never a big fan of the overly. Like chocolate, I didn't feel was a good one for a Pop-Tart.
It's funny because it's like I actually like the s'mores ones, but I'll never ever go out of my way to buy them.
I like the cinnamon ones, which I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing.
So,
Jesus, so loud, coming in so loud.
So I guess we should start with the only logical point. How the fuck has AJ still not to this day reached out to Billy Fives?
This is, I think. It's become one of those things where it's so when you put off talking to someone for so long that you feel like that it's been too now it's been too long.
But this isn't
and now there's no way to even approach it properly. It's been so long.
Oh yeah.
That now you're just avoiding doing it because it's gone from avoiding doing it for one reason to now it's just been too long. I can't call him.
But usually when you do that to somebody or a situation like this happens, you're not expected to get in a ring and fight with them.
I'm not saying I understand his strategy here.
I don't think he has one.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long time going now.
Billy's going to beat him with his cell phone.
This is weeks and weeks and weeks of...
It might not even be a match. It might just be Billy just beating him with an iPhone. Where's my call? Speaking of which...
but since you brought it up...
Yeah. Uh-oh.
He literally messaged me the other day.
We got some insider info that
Ben's
already shared on the...
Insider bullshit. Yeah. But let's see. I'm trying to do this while we're on the air. See, I don't remember if he texted.
Well, while you're looking,
he texted me this or Facebook message.
When you guys went off on that on the thread the other day while I was working, I was like, only thing I think of was how the fuck, like up until a certain point, it's still a professional wrestling match. At some point, Billy's going to remove the courtesy of the wrestling, portion of that. It's going to be a professional match where he beats the living fuck out of you.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be like fucking the Kumite.
That's why I said I didn't want to be anywhere near the ring.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I didn't want to be
because listen,
part of the
I am the furthest thing from fucking Billy Fives. But if someone asked me to have the last match with me the way that AJ has and strung it out this long without even contacting me, but still promoting it's going to happen, I'm ripping the fuck out of that guy in the ring. And I am not Billy. So I can't even imagine how Billy's just like, okay, yeah, okay, sure. And he's going to get AJ in that ring and he's going to abuse his body. Yeah. It's going to be fucking funny. And AJ deserves it 100% because he's approached this like it's a high school bully that he can't reach out to or some shit.
I don't understand because this is it's getting strange now.
It really is getting into weird waters. For all intents and purposes, a fake wrestling retirement match. Because it
was never going to be that fake. Not with Billy.
No, but at first it would have been like listen. At first I'd be like, it's probably going to be a real tight match. They're gonna at least Billy's gonna lay it in, and AJ's gonna do his best to keep up. But at this point, I have no no barometer of the waters that we're
it was
wading
going
into.
to. It might have shifted by a degree or two our personal definitions of the word snug.
Yes. It's now at a point where I'm just like, all right, well, should they wear MMA gloves? Maybe that's safer for AJ. Maybe he can get an accidental eye poke in and get Billy off guard.
He would just get them sticky with donut glaze.
Dude, if he comes to the ring rubbed in that or some shit.
Rubbed in that?
Like he just rubs his body in like a donut glaze so Billy won't touch him.
Oh, Billy will touch him. He'll make frequent contact with his knuckles and his nose.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. AJ, man, maybe I have to jump on one of these furlough files and be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Well,
I keep threatening to put them together on the podcast together, like on the phone. And he...
That's going to be the best episode we do.
Well, it's funny because we talked about it. He's like, yeah, okay, we'll do. If I don't call him by then, we'll call him on the thing. And then I'm speaking to him early in the afternoon, the day we record the second one of the week with him, and I'm like, we were just like both like, well, what are you doing now? He's like, nothing. I'm like, what are you doing now? Nothing. I go, why don't we just record this early? The sneaky motherfucker like kind of pushed to record it early, knowing that Billy was still like working and we wouldn't have to call him. I'm convinced that was it. And then I talked to Billy afterwards, and he's like, this was where it came in. He met because he had heard the podcast before where I threatened that we were going to call Billy.
Yeah.
And Billy's like, so what? He messages, that's what I was looking for. So he messaged me and he's like, so what time are we doing this? What time are you calling me?
Yeah.
Today? I go, oh no. Then I realized what happened. How I got like kind of fucking.
You got bamboozled, Ben.
I did. I got like tricked somehow. And I'm like, oh, that motherfucker. He
that sly fox.
He worked thing. He goes, I don't know where he wrote it.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for it, but I'm like, oh, dude, he totally weaseled. So I think, and when you could hear it in AJ's voice when I threatened to call Billy on the spy. He's like, no. Like he's like he wanted like somewhere in his head he thought maybe no, I'll definitely call him between. And smooth the pavement a little bit.
I have never in 15 years in the business and a lifetime of watching it, knowing the insides and outs, known of a match that is going on like this one is with two grown men, one of which is just like Billy's got to be in some kind of weird position because he's got his whole life going on. AJ calls him out for a retirement. He's like, fine. That was a month ago.
At least.
Still hasn't talked to him with one really painfully inexcusable text.
Right. One really weak effort at a reach out.
I just don't know what's happening.
The bare minimum effort of that was so painfully evident that it just insulted Billy and inspired him to add like a percentage of like ass whooping to the match or whatever.
And it's weird because it's like you've been around the business a long time. Same here. We both know that if we were to tell the story to I don't know, say Adrian walked in. Adrian was in the business for a while, and with Adrian, this is what's going on. He would first thing because you learn a thing.
It's interesting that you use Adrian, but go ahead.
Yeah, but
because that guy's oblivious and had bumbled through his wrestling career. But
I pick him because most wrestlers, if you would have that conversation when discussing what's going on right now, they would just tell you like, oh, they've talked this out, and they're using all the promotional tools they have, so they're good. They've already had this conversation. They're just working everybody,
right?
And that's my first thought too. I know AJ.
He legitimately gets upset when I tag Billy once I post these.
Yeah,
and tag him like on Facebook, like, "Hey, listen to a new podcast." He gets upset because he actually doesn't want Billy to have listened to it because he knows he's put his foot a little deeper in his own like
Like,
mouth.
so for everybody out there that's like, oh no, this is all concocted. I can assure you, this has not been concocted.
This is why it's so great. I'm so excited.
This is like this weird anomaly that. I mean, even when we decided to start promoting this, we're like, okay, cool. Like they'll figure it out.
I don't even think I didn't think we ever decided to promote it. We're just talking about. Like his stupidity is so.
It's fucking legendary. At this
so
point.
Immense right now.
Yeah.
The way he's handling it that we can't not talk about it.
Because it was just going to be like, his retirement. I think we'd maybe brought it up a few times, just kind of like
just until maybe when we get closer to the date.
But this has totally become like all right. Where in this week did AJ dig the one more shovelful of his grave?
This is a segment like your baby thing.
It is.
It's funny you mentioned Adrian because I was like, as soon as you brought him up in the context of this, it like reminded me of the time that we had him at the SuperCon shows booked, and I told him he was going to be wrestling Kevin Sullivan. It was going to be one of those like short and sweet little fucking deals because Sullivan's not. 3 things aren't happening at a Kevin Sullivan match at that point. A, it's not going over 5 minutes. 2, you're not getting any of your shit in because Kevin's not taking one bump in the fucking match, and I don't even know what 3 is. But I'm sure there's a 3rd. And I just remember like Adrian's the kind of guy that doesn't think things through sometimes before he reacts. So he was like immediately was like he realized that those 2 things were going to happen and was all upset that he wasn't going to get his shit in. And I'm like, dude, you're wrestling as the fucking Joker in front of a bunch of...
You're wrestling a legitimate living legend.
Right, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't matter. It's like, this isn't like you're this is on an indie show and trying to get your name out there and you need to be seen or something. Yeah. This is, we're just having fun. Yeah. Nobody even knows who the fuck you are because you're wrestling as a different character. It's Kevin fucking Sullivan. He didn't understand that the opportunity to work with a legend in the ring, to like be able for the rest of your days to go, I wrestled Kevin Sullivan, was there for him. And then I yanked it from him. I was like, well, then fine, you don't have to wrestle him. Because he was just worried. Because he loves doing this so much, especially SuperCon stuff, that I understand where he was coming from. It was from not thinking it through. Yeah. And being like, I just want to entertain. I want to be as entertaining as possible. I have this idea of wanting to do all these things, and I got that. But then you have to, when you're wrestling, we were booked 4 days in a row. Yeah. It's a long convention. It's like, so one day doesn't have to be filled with hearing the crowd and all that and popping them and being this character. You're getting in the ring with Kevin Sullivan.
And then
he gets it. He always gets it after the point. Yeah. I'll give him credit for this. He always gets it after the point. Yeah. And then he comes up to you and he goes, dude, you're right. I'm so sorry. I apologize. He's the only guy that had a bad match on like his first night because I guess he hadn't worked in a while and then comes back for this to do this stuff. And then is begging me to get in the ring to practice before the next night. This is the kind of guy. He has a work ethic. He's honorable. He cares about, but he also doesn't think things through sometimes. So then you have that like mea culpa, like after the fact. Hey man, you're right. I fucked up. I'm sorry. But he also does that. He owns it.
And then on the flip side, you remember Flex's reaction to when we booked it with Sullivan?
Yeah, not as much his reaction to before, but
afterwards. No, I mean,
no. That's the story of.
That's the flip side of the things.
But that's
because that's the guy that got and understood the moment and what we were.
But he even then he was coming after the fact. Yeah. Adrian may have after the fact been the same way. But but two things are funny there. One was that when I reshuffled the deck on that, and put Sam.
That's right. It was Sam.
Or whatever.
I was about to ask you, like, who did end up working?
The Dark Sheik who came. Long story short,
is it Samantha now?
I don't know what he goes by now.
Are you dead naming him?
Is
it dead gingering?
I refer to as him, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to do that. Sam, which I guess is gender neutral, or can be. Owns Hood Slam in Oakland, and apparently he decided to tour the world and wrestle a little bit here and there. He took a break from doing that.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be with Derek in Tampa when Derek was going to come down and do this. So he brought him along, and we used him, and he got it because he does Hood Slam, and they do cosplay stuff out there. And I think he had wrestled a SuperCon show years before. Apparently he had.
Oh, yes, he did.
Okay.
Benny brought him in.
Yeah. So I guess he used to live in Tampa or something like that.
I think he did Aladdin. Did he do Aladdin for us too?
He did because he did it for when he worked with Kevin.
Yeah.
He came in there. I mean, Kevin had. This is such a long. It has all these stories. This was the night after. This was the day after Snake Master whacked him in the eye with the cane. So Sullivan couldn't work, but we used him anyways. And so I'm pretty sure it's the same night.
No, that can't be because Sam wore Tim when the ring was...
No. Yeah, it was. It was because all they did was they came in. I got totally worked for this because I paid Sullivan for this. So I was like, yeah, I can get in a ring. And they just talked shit for like a minute to each other. And then I think Sullivan hit him with a Singapore cane over the head. And the 1, 2, 3, neither of them did a lockup. push to the ropes, did anything. It was literally like entrance, a little gaga, a shot to the head, a pin, match over.
Yeah.
And everyone got paid.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, he got me.
Yes, he did. Yes, I
forgot
forgot about that.
Sam,
Yeah.
I wasn't paying Sam shit. It was like, thank you for showing up. Here's your like $30.
Yeah, but
I know Sullivan was getting like $300 a day.
Yeah, it was.
But whatever. It was like you kind of feel
bad. But all those guys, that's how but they're so good at that, man.
Yeah. Well,
and not only are they good at doing it, they're good at doing it in a way where it makes you feel like, man, this was a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, where you're totally, by the time you figured out what happened, like you've already had a few beers with them afterwards, and you're like, fuck it, I can't get mad.
Well, either that or they've somehow kind of included you in the creative on that, so you think it was your idea.
Definitely.
God, I was so smart for doing that.
Yeah, he's so good. I mean, all those guys, man. I watched Dusty and Funk talk like Court Bauer and the MLW, and the way they changed their match around to do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah,
it's just how they said things. And you were like, these are like they're masters.
You defer to them because they're
all those old school guys, especially the Southern guys. They're so
but they also.
Clever.
They also ran like WCW.
They did
like both those names you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So you go like, well, they ran WCW. They book shows. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll listen to them. Not realizing they're just doing what's in their self-interest.
So I think the biggest benefit from having the older guys around isn't so much what you get in the ring. What you get in the ring is a shadow of who they were, but their name value brings in fans, so it doesn't matter. The fans don't care. They just want to see their guys in the ring. But the real value of having those guys in the locker room is watching them work. How they interact with everyone in the back, the green guys, the guys they like, the guys they don't like, the promoters, how they talk.
Well, that's the thing. If you bring someone in that's not going to be a total cancer and fuck your whole thing up.
Yeah. And it's just because...
Which is what I think they're doing in AEW a little bit when they have all these guys, these old timers that they're bringing in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I see the memes occasionally because I have so many fucking people that I know that still watch wrestling. So I see all the memes and everything. Is there anyone in AEW who's not part of a faction?
Not really. It's very
There's
strange.
not just one dude who's like, no, I have no friends.
It's very strange. It's yes, and a lot of those factions are big. Like
they're about to get an influx of new factions.
Well, that's a whole thing too. I don't know how many. I don't know how many of those people they'll sign.
Joe.
If
Joe doesn't go to Japan.
Well.
Joe's going one of two places, AEW or NWG. And he's going to grab by the way, if he goes to Japan, he'll be champion in less than a year.
Well, he could, if the money's comparable or promises are comparable. He's already worked at Impact.
Yeah.
So he could go back there. He was the greatest Ring of Honor champion they ever had. They still talk about it. He could go back there. He could go to Japan. He could go to AEW. That's the guy that has four choices of what he wants to do. It's like it comes down to who do you want to work? Where are they? How much money are you getting paid? If any of those are factors, if none of those are factors,
I would think at his age and where he's at and the money he's made, I would think it'd be like, what haven't I done?
It's the same as Cody when Cody had that checklist when he was an independent wrestler.
Yeah.
Remember he had that list and he was going down it.
So
that he put on, he like took a picture of him.
Because guys of that stature, Joe's made his money. He could be comfortable walking away. It would have to be a matter of his actual interest.
But it's not like anywhere he goes, he's not going to get paid.
Oh, exactly.
Right.
But like, he's never the heavyweight champion in Japan. Like that, and that's something that is there for him.
But you go to AEW, there's a lot of good matchups for him that he might be interested in. Plus, there's a lot of familiar faces.
That's true.
Anyone from Kazarian and Chris,
all his boys.
And Christopher Daniels. Yeah. Sting's there that he knows. Christian, he was there that he knows. He knows some of the WWE guys they've picked up.
You know what's funny? It's funny. The better part, the Impact is still a thing somehow. I don't know why everybody brings its name up in promotions, but that I understand. That's like people.
I feel like
NWA. Like, okay, cool, whatever.
I feel like there's stuff there that might be worth watching. I wouldn't know because I don't even get the channel.
Yeah, it's
so for me to be like, oh, I'm gonna go through this extra step of like watching it on an app. Fuck that.
No,
that's too much.
I just feel putting them in the same conversation as AEW and WWE. It's just
except that they have a partnership with AEW and they're sharing talent to a small extent, so it helps put them on a level.
Which makes what I'm about to say even funnier.
Okay,
because I was just like, the best parts, the things that made TNA watchable
are
now on AEW, and now TNA has become like their farm system.
Well, including one of them, but including like when Christian came, they're using his entrance music from TNA.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I guess it was really
I loved his music from TNA.
Yeah, I think
Captain Charisma was one of his best gimmicks.
And they got a good relationship there, and apparently TK doesn't mind spending the money on things like that.
Yeah.
He licensed that jungle song for Jungle Boy, the whoa, 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 whoa. He and then he just licensed God,
what music do they use for Sting?
Oh, they have like their own. They did something new for him.
Is it good?
It's all right.
Oh, okay.
It's all right because they got a whole production for him.
Yeah.
Where like they have snow machines, and it's kind of like when he showed up, it was like kind of a winter is coming thing. And and so it always snows when he comes out. It's kind of cool. And it's like snow, but I think it's more like soap bubbles. But like it looks like the like soap foam, like detergent foam.
Yeah.
Kinda. It like but I guess it's supposed to resemble fake snow.
I'll give Sting this. That man has been around almost 40 years.
I mean, he's in his 60s, isn't he?
And he's reinvented himself almost as many times as Jericho has.
Or is he in his 50s? I don't know.
It's like...
I don't know he's reinvented himself.
No, but like he's always tried new things. Like I'll give Sting like he's never been that guy to me. But I understand who he is. I think I always believe Sting was at his best. The pinnacle of Sting for me was always when he took the belt off Flair and NWA. Mm-hmm. That was the pinnacle of Sting. The whole Crow Sting for me was like, whatever, blah blah blah. But I think TNA Sting probably was like his second act biggest moments.
He went into like a Joker phase there, didn't he?
But he tried all these new things, man.
Yeah.
And work
the main event mafia stuff.
And work or not work. Like the guy has never rested. He's not like Hogan, who's had two things, and that's all.
Right.
Or Flair. Well, to Flair's credit, Flair's only needed to be one person ever.
Well, yeah, but that was it. Never. See, the reason to change is because something is starting to.
But he doesn't need to.
That's what I'm saying with Hogan or Flair or whatever. It's like you never needed.
But with Sting, it didn't need to change either. He could have coached it, bro.
It might have gotten stale, especially since his stuff. A lot of it, at least in the most when you're two of the things we talked about, were just stealing someone else's thing, being the Crow or being the Joker.
You know what his biggest problem was? You know what his biggest problem was? Unlike all those guys, he was rarely booked right. Which is why I think TNA was such a better run for him than a lot of his WCW stuff, because the people booking it knew who the fuck they had.
What's funny is I don't know what his deal is now, but he literally and I don't know where he's living now. I thought he still lived in California, but to fly him to Jacksonville every fucking week, and he'll come out and literally he'll come out and corner for Darby, but Darby doesn't even wrestle every week. But he a lot of times they'll bring him out to do an interview. He won't even start talking before someone interrupts, and he'll just stand there and look at the guy while the guy talks to him. Doesn't really ever speak or anything.
Yeah.
And goes back. And I'm like, they paid him to come out and do that. And, compared to some guys on that roster, he's on the expensive end of that scale.
If he lives in California, I could totally see him doing this. If nothing else, just to do something. Just to be in the locker room, just to hang out with guys. He looks like a guy who enjoys being.
So what you're saying is he never ever picked up a hobby in his life.
I don't think so. Remember he tried acting, and I watched the one movie they made of him, and I was like, "Hey, Steve Bourne's all right. Like it's weird. It's like he's an okay actor. He's an okay wrestler. He's okay on the mic, but for some reason, like there's this aura about him that has made him one of the top 10 guys you think of when you think of professional wrestling. And I'm not his best matches are when he's with the best guys available, and they know how to get the best out of him.
Yeah.
And he has great matches with them. He's like the perfect version of what Luger should have been. Because if Luger could have just had great matches when he worked great guys, he would have been somebody.
Well, it's funny why you say he was booked improperly. Then I think after he stopped being the bleach blonde,
I think WCW.
I think they created so much mystique around him that it's to this day.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think
initially
he was booked improperly. Initially, it's still to this day.
I honestly believe. But it's not his fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just the product of who you had making all the calls in the back, and the politics involved, and how I think the NWO, it's the concept of it, really kind of internally destroyed WCW in the end. But he was great up until after the whole Hogan deal, and they were like, okay, what's the next thing now? And then it was just a mismatch of here, there,
Well, then he joined the NWO.
Oh, God damn it. I fucking hate it.
Wolfpack for life.
I hated... I'll be honest with you. I'll say it on the podcast. Controversial. I fucking hated NWO. Because I really, really, really felt it was lazy. I felt that after the faction split, I went, all right, I'm done. I'm out. And that's kind of when I stopped watching WCW.
Yeah, but you could sell 2 different colored T-shirts.
It's so fucking stupid. It was so fucking stupid.
I don't know. I loved all of it.
I stopped watching. That's when I became a WWF guy. I was just like, okay, they're going to start with this nonsense. I can't watch this. I can't. Now, and then Latino World Order, which actually I thought was the best of the 3, because it was just all the Latin guys just having a fucking blast because, hey, we get TV time.
Yeah, well, and they could entertain.
Hoovy!
Those, what was it? Juventud, Eddie. And was it Super Crazy?
No, it wasn't Super Crazy. Psychosis, maybe?
Was it Psychosis? Yeah.
And, what was I say? El Gigante. Maybe El Gigante. I don't know.
No. It was those 3, I think. I don't think
there was a 4th, but I can't remember. But still, dude, just Hoovy and Eddie on the mic?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Name 2 more charismatic people, okay? No, Latino World Order made it fun for a while. And then they had another one I can't remember. It just got crazy after a while. I can't...
Well, they brought the Blue World Order.
That's right.
When they bought ECW. They ended up... Oh, WWE did. Yeah, it's a little later. But that's still... Whatever.
Isn't it crazy Blue Meanie had a full wrestling career?
He had a WWE contract for
weird
for like longer than a lot of people.
I occasionally think back and I'm just like, all these ECW guys who had no business getting these fucking WWE short-term contracts. But good, bless them, good for them. But it's like, man. And then the ones that did get it and fucked it up, like Sabu.
Yeah, I mean, Sabu had that fucking crazy look. That worked well at the time because you would just.
But he was
so much different from
It's just
everyone
he was
else.
like a fucking lunatic.
He was just like
yeah.
he was like a walking collection of scars. It was great.
I mean, we always go back to
What was that Batman villain that had all the was it Mr. Zaz or something like that?
Something like that.
Every time he killed somebody, he put a little hash mark on himself.
And
that's what Sabu looked like.
And I have so many backstage Sabu stories. That man, he's just like, it was just insane to me.
Well, was it at the same show that Anthony was telling me about?
No, that's one. That's one of many.
Putting the food into the Ziploc baggies or whatever.
Yeah, to take it home. No. That was
at catering.
That was the last one because that's the last time I've seen him.
I know.
Every
I'm just asking
time.
if that was the show you and Anthony were
how about
the table?
The second MLW show where I was doing security around the ring, at the War Memorial, and after the show,
I still love those shows so much.
It's some of the best wrestling shows I ever saw, and I got to
the original MLW, not whatever they're doing now.
Oh no! I'm 2004 MLW
when they would never have booked up Barrington Hughes.
Never.
What?
Listen, there's no sense on holding back here.
Yeah.
I love Barrington. I have no heat with him. What the fuck is he doing on fucking TV? But no, it was great because after the show, I'm taking the ring down, and I had my friend Dave with me, and I got him the security gig too. So we're
Dave.
Yeah, Dave. He comes up to me and he's like, Mario, we have a problem. And I'm like, Dave, what? He's like, Sabu's looking for his tooth. I'm like, what? He goes, well, he's coming over. I'm like, what are you talking about? Turn around, and here comes Sabu. He's like, hi, have you seen my tooth? I'm like, I'm sorry, sir? He's like, I lost my tooth during my match. I forgot who he worked, but, it's a fucking Sabu match. They're all the same. And I was like, I'll help you look. I mean, you're talking after an MLW show, Ben. You know what the floor looks like.
Right.
Like, okay. Yeah, we'll try to find one little tiny little white-ish tooth. I think we looked for like 3 minutes. And finally, Dave was like, Mr. Sabu, I think someone has already put your tooth on eBay. I don't think we're going to find your tooth. And he's like, yeah, all right. And just wanders away. Doesn't say nothing. Just like every time and every experience I've ever had with Sabu, he always seems to be somewhere else. And whenever you have a conversation with him, he's got to detach himself from that place to quickly talk to you and then go back to whatever it was or whatever it is.
Mentally, even.
Yeah. He's a weird dude, man. But I mean, super cool. Always, shook my hand. Always, if you spoke to him, he answered you back. I mean, he was super cool. I never.
Well, you never.
But
you weren't. You were in a position where.
Yeah, I never.
It didn't. You weren't a promoter that was paying him to work.
But
so I'm sure that was. Story.
But like 15 years later, I can honestly say, like going back, I was like, oh, he's totally a guy that just he's gonna be there. He's gonna. What am I doing? Okay, cool. And then he doesn't think anymore. He just does drugs. I guess allegedly, yeah. He just does drugs. He wanders around, has conversations with the boys, does his thing, but he's just super kind of like chill, There's a lot of guys that are just like really chill. Like RVD when he showed up for the first Ronin show, he was so chill that he didn't even remember where the fuck he was. That man was on so many drugs.
Or a lot of one drug.
No, I came to find out later it was a concoction because remember my wife was his handler. So
let me remember. I wasn't there. I wasn't invited to that stuff.
Oh, that's right.
By that point I was.
Oh, that's right. You were public enemy number one.
I was a poster of do not admit.
I just remember having a full conversation with RVD, and walking away going like. Nothing happened there. Like we talked, but I'm not even sure if he registered where he is right now because it was cool. And then here's the funny part. When I went up and shook his hand, he's like, "Hey man, nice seeing you again, bro. Nice seeing you again. You look good, man. You look good. And walked off, and I'm like, that's just sure is the first time I've ever shook Rob Van Dam's hand.
Are you sure?
He said it in such a way where I wasn't. Where I was just like, wait, have we met?
Yeah.
And then I realized like an hour or two later, it's like, oh, he has that conversation all the time.
I think it's so funny. It's so funny that we didn't know each other back then, but we were like in the same building.
Yeah.
At the same time, probably fucking at one point may have even like bumped into each other accidentally or had a conversation.
Oh, 100%.
Or whatever.
100%.
And just
I remember we had a very brief conversation at the old comic store. It was really brief, and it was one of those. It was so brief
at Mike's.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was like very, very. It was like, hey, how you doing? He introduced us, and that was it. And then I wandered off with him wherever the fuck he was going, and that was that.
Whoa.
Wow. Whoa. I slapped the mic.
Well then, I see. I don't even remember that one.
But it was very brief. I just
the only thing because I know you guys were you wrestling that day?
I think so.
Okay, or I don't know if you were just there, but I remember the day that we had matches out in the parking lot.
Oh my god, those were so terrible.
I just remember walking in on Chuck, changing in the bathroom. And being like, come on, just lock the fucking door, guys. And he's like, I'm sorry. And that's the only. I mean, I remember. I think I remember Leva was there wrestling. She did like I think she was doing her Freddy Krueger outfit or something.
Yeah,
it was like a Halloween show.
Yeah,
I think I don't know, but I remember him. I think think Jude was there, and Beast we knew. But yeah, that was the first. So I'm sure that that might have been the date I talked to you.
Yeah,
I think they did wrestling there twice though.
I
remember talking to you. The first time I remember having a conversation with you, like a real one, was when I was working the booth for Mike at SuperCon. I told you this already.
Yeah,
and you were like, Broder had given you like a
table right across.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit.
Yeah. That's right.
But you weren't living here at the time, was it?
That was me selling a bunch of shit to move to
Texas or something.
No, Lakeland. That's when I moved to Lakeland. That was 2009. So yeah, that.
But weren't you living in Texas for a short stint, and wasn't that when
that was later on? That was later on.
Mike was giving you shit for not being here?
Yeah. That was 2011 or 2012, one of those two.
And then when you moved back from that, was when you and I started working on the shows together.
Because that was the show that the one I didn't go to, the one I didn't do was the one that Lou Spector ran. And then the next show was he had given it to Anthony. And you, it was Anthony or Anthony asked you. You know that
it was me and Anthony.
Okay, you and Anthony,
me and AJ, yeah.
and then that's where we met because Mike's like, "Hey, listen, help these guys out." And I knew Tommy, so I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'll help Tommy." And wow, I say it now. It's like, "Oh yeah, how many people still know him as Tommy Vandal?" Right. But I was like,
"Well, he refers to sometimes to the old Vandal days, but I don't think he ever refers to his actual gimmick name too often."
So it's like, yeah,
he'll
sure.
just call Eric Vandal.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I'll definitely help Anthony out, and we had met that previous 2 years ago, so I remembered you. So I was like, yeah, we're cool. And then that's when the whole fucking journey started. I think was that the year I wrestled Jim Logan.
I don't know. I honestly that year I was doing double duty, so I don't remember anything. I was literally podcasting all day with Jenny upstairs.
Oh, that's right.
We would do like 8 hours. We would do the whole con. We were live, and we would cycle the guests in and out.
How did that happen? I mean, how'd that go for you? 8 fucking hours, man.
It was a long time. These were long. It was like all fucking day. And then I would run downstairs to kind of help AJ with the wrestling a little bit, but AJ had we had just booked everybody. It was before I got really involved, so it wasn't. And AJ's such a lazy piece of shit, so it was mostly just like, all right, slap 2 random people together. You're gonna just wrestle for 10 minutes, blah blah blah. And I sat there and ran like the music and kind of did a lot of cat wrangling and stuff.
I can't remember what show that was because I know I worked it, but I can't fucking recall what I did.
Yeah, I don't remember you there at all.
I remember when we were talking to going to Hood Slam, when the year with Sam, where we really got to know him, and he, yeah, come on out kind of thing. And I remember going like, I can't wear the Cobra Commander costume in fucking Oakland. I'll never get the weed smell out of it. Like, it'll be a permanent fixture. I'll just walk around as like High Man or some shit. I don't fucking know. Because like the Hood Slam shows were known for like a cloud of marijuana.
In Oakland it was Fort legal, so
yeah,
420 friendly shows.
I remember doing Dragon Gate.
I mean, they had characters on the shows that were like weed related. Yeah. It was Drugs Bunny and the Stoner Brothers were 2 characters that were.
I did Dragon Gate in that building, which was
the Opera House or something.
No. Well, it probably one of the locations. But the other one was Spanky School, Brian Kendrick's school. Mm-hmm. So we did Dragon Gate in that school at like 2 or 3 p.m. But the night before was a Hood Slam show. Ben, I kid you not, I may have gotten a contact high in that building simply by just being in there 12 hours afterwards.
Kendrick did a lot of those shows. I remember him on the posters.
My favorite Brian Kendrick story is that show. He started drinking when it started, and at the end of the show, he had to do a run-in on Gargano, because Gargano had that no ropes match with oh my god, the other half of the Dark City Fight Club, not Corey Chavis, his partner, John Davis,
right.
And that was the match where they had us sitting ringside after our matches to fill up the crowd because there's only like 100 people in their building. Can't fit that many fucking people, at least sitting. So halfway through that match, they set up a ladder between the entrance and the ring. It was very short. And Corey Chavis was going to shoot Gargano and do his finisher on the thing. But when he went to do it, Gargano's feet kicked the ladder, and the ladder was about to like kick out of place, and the way that it would have hit, like, dude, Gargano would have been fucked up. And the second I saw it happen, I just threw my foot out and caught the rung underneath and held it in place so they could do the spot. Real sly, like I was just like, eh. And they did the spot, and I immediately removed my foot the second they hit. So it's like no one knew, but like I just remember in my head going like, that would have been real bad. Because, like, Gargano would have probably landed, like, neck first on the edge of the fucking ladder as it was being kicked out. Oh, dude.
One day you'll have to run into him and tell him how you saved his life.
He's like, and it's just one of those things, like, they didn't know. They didn't see it. It was just, because it was, like, anybody that hadn't been in the wrestling business would never have known or even thought to do it. But I saw the spot as it was happening, and it was just this real quick reflex. I just remember, because I looked right over at Bobby, who was sitting right next to me. Bobby, I think I just saved Gargano's life. But then Kendrick came out, and he was toasted. Because I remember after our match in the locker room, I shook his hand and thanked him for the opportunity. And I was just like, oh, you're drunk. Dude, and there was no ropes. So, his finisher was he ran up the ropes, and it was called the sliced bread.
Yeah.
He ran up the ropes, flipped around you, and you took like a back bump. He did it right up the post, no ropes, like a fucking, like a fucking, like an Olympic gymnast. Like, hit it perfect. Cut a perfect promo and walked out. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, he was so drunk, he was stumbling backstage. Never have known. You would never have known.
That's a real pro.
And that's like Terry Funk. I remember Terry Funk before MLW shows, man. That poor guy was just like...
barely moved.
Why you keep booking him?
Yeah.
I love Terry Funk. I don't want to see this man who's dead set on dying in a wrestling ring, die in a ring while I'm there. I don't want to see it. But that curtain would open...
I tried to get a bloody towel from after that Firebrand match. Remember that?
Yeah.
Was that a War Games thing?
It was a War Games.
With the cage and the brand was on fire and someone got bloody. I think it was Terry.
Man.
And there was
always
a blood-soaked towel there. I was like, that might be good once it dries out on eBay. I tried to get it and I couldn't.
Dusty, and Carino had that barbed wire ropes match. And I
got photos from that.
I remember setting those. I was part of the crew setting those fucking ropes up, and I remember as we're doing it,
it took 45 fucking minutes.
Hey, dude, and
it's so funny. You were one of the guys doing it.
I was one of the guys doing it.
It's so funny because I'm sitting there second row watching these Mamalukes do it. Going, God, it's taking so.
And I was
long.
So young,
but it was real barbed wire, right?
Oh my God,
that's why you guys,
dude. Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm setting up, and I'm trying to tell the guy, I'm like, there's an easier way to do this, but I'm in no position because they have the one way they do it. And I'm like, but if we just did it, I think I tried to say something. He goes, I got this. And I'm like, okay, all right. I think I was the guy holding the reel, and we were just reeling it around. Because it was real fucking barbed wire. Because I got cut a few times. Yeah. We were in big heavy gloves, but it got cut on my arms and shit.
Yeah.
And then cutting that shit out after. Oh my God, man! I remember my first reaction in front of a live crowd was after. Remember the show where Fonzie threw the water bottle into the light?
No, but I may not have been at that one.
Okay, so
I wasn't at like the first one or two.
So he was cutting a promo with Sabu. Sabu did the water bottle, threw it up. It got into one of the lights above, and we're talking like 20 feet in the fucking air. Like,
it's like 9 lights. It's like a grid of like 9 big
giant lights. Yeah.
One of those super hot bulbs.
The water hit the light. The light shattered, fell down onto Fonzie's face. You didn't get
all this hot, sharp glass.
Yes, you didn't really get to see the crowd didn't get to see it because it was towards the end of the promo. They cut it home and he left. But bro, he was head to toe covered in blood when I saw him.
Wow!
And they're trying to patch him up and shit. And I went out and did all, and I had to sweep. They're like, you got to sweep their glass. It's a fucking wrestling canvas.
Yeah.
And this is like second or third fucking thing out there that night. Like, you've got to sweep it real good. So I'm out there to sweep, and you know the old ECW, the whole sweep chants and all that shit. Yeah. It got to be me. I was so happy. I had a smile ear to ear.
It's probably hard to get that out of like canvas, huh? One of the guys probably got
15 minutes. It took me and another guy, and I'm sitting there, and being in the trades world, I know how to finally sweep. Because when you got to be a little careful. You can't also sweeping it. You can't. There's ways to sweep it where you can be flinging it into the third row. Exactly. So you have to like really short, quick brush strokes, and you have to go little by little, incrementally. And we got it. And then they made me clean the ropes. So as I went to,
I remember that with the guy running in.
That was me. That was me. And dude, I can't begin to tell. It's probably some of the most fun I ever had in a wrestling ring because I was getting a reaction for doing literally nothing.
Right.
But I was facilitating the ring to be ready for the next match. So I was the hero. It was great. But yeah, that was Fonzie. Ooh. Hey, Daddy. Yeah. Daddy-o. Fucking carny motherfucker. I love that guy.
Those are, I think, most of my favorite shows are in that building.
I know.
That Fort Lauderdale War Memorial.
Which is why it was...
Those old ECW shows.
This was so important. It was so important for me to wrestle in that building. And I'm glad I got to work a full match before I was banned. I don't know if that's a story we've told or we'll hold on to. Or,
I mean, other than just the fact that you technically got fired in the ring.
I did get
fired
right
after your match.
I did get fired in the ring right after my match, and
but I don't think at that moment you realized that was a that you were legit.
Oh no! At that time, I was baffled by what was happening
until people were sent out to tell you got to go.
No one ever. That
Drew and stuff, right?
But I didn't know. And Drew didn't know. Remember, we okay. So I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but
I don't know if you did
I don't think so.
Let's just
okay. So So the end of Ronin, at least my end of Ronin run, which was a very short run.
Ronin is a promotion.
As far as I'm concerned, Ronin began and started with my involvement. Anything afterwards is just...
It began and ended.
Yeah, sure.
Began and started is kind of the same.
Oh, yeah. Began and ended with me. And everything that the few things that have happened since were just...
Well, I wouldn't say few things.
No,
there
there
years
was...
and years of shows.
Yeah, none of them were any good. Anyway...
You came back and did one of them.
And that show, for the most part, other than Drew's involvement, wasn't very good. It was so bad it drove Bruce Santee to start drinking again.
Yeah, but yes.
That is an irrefutable fact.
That and it cost Trevor a lot of money.
Yeah. So, I had an disagreement with the promoter. I'd agreed to do this one last match, and then I was going to be done with Ronin. I was going to concentrate and just run the cosplay side. But the show beforehand, there was a convention 2 weeks before the show. The FSCW had been taken away from me for reasons I will never be clear on. So I was just going to do this show, and I was going to walk away for a while. I was like, you know what? We all need a break and figure out what's going on. There was a segment we were going to do. I was wrestling Johnny Vandal. We'd been setting this match up for months. And quick note, Broder fought me the entire time about it. Why do you want to wrestle Johnny Vandal? He's a nobody. You should be wrestling somebodies. And I would be like, well, that's really disrespectful to Mr. Vandal, who's been to Japan, is kind of wrestled around the world, like legitimately. So yeah, it's kind of disrespectful. But I really believe what this is happening. You should trust me on this. And obviously, he never did.
Johnny and probably had done something that upset Mike or something like that. There was probably some reason Mike did. I feel like there was something.
Oh, maybe something I'm not aware of?
Yeah, something in the past. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it was.
I can't imagine, because at that point you had been gone, and Johnny had fully bought into what we were doing. Maybe it was the him and Derek match at Miami.
Think it might even have been before that. It may have been one of those guys that Broder didn't understand why we were still using, because there had been like some minor issue or hiccup. Or
for whatever reason though. And I get there that day. They moved my match from where we had booked it from I think it was Submain to right before intermission. No, was it right before or right after intermission? One of the two. And he had brought Raven on to run the show. And all Raven was interested in doing was collecting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because I had a long talk with him about the whole thing. I'm like, hey man, this. Oh, they put a promo before my match while we both get in the ring. So basically what they had done is, and I'll credit Mike for this, and I know he didn't come up with this on his own. He had his flunkies helping him book this. But Mike had booked this match in a way where Johnny and I were a total afterthought. Like as a giant fuck you, it was a real smart move, because he fucked us on paper. And I telling Raven all this stuff, and I remember because Drew was sitting right there, because him and Drew were talking, and because Drew worked Lashley that night.
Yeah,
that's also the night where I tried to do a shot of pre-workout without
a scoop
of pre-workout without water, because I saw Lashley do it. I'm like, I could do it. Quick story, I couldn't. It ended poorly.
I don't know what funhouse mirror you were looking in that thought you were cut from the same cloth.
No,
Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley's a unicorn, sir.
Yeah, still is.
So I'm telling Raven all this stuff. I'm like, hey, bro, this doesn't make sense here. He looks me dead in the eyes and he's like, you know what, man? I agree with you 100%. You're right. But I'm paid to put what's on paper out there, so I don't care. And I was just like, fucking fair enough, because I could tell in that very short interaction, He didn't even want to fucking be there. Mike, however, is paying him probably full rate. So he's like, I'm not turning down a payday. Like, I'm sure if Mike had called him like, hey, it's a favor, Raven would be like, nah, I can't, not as a favor, no. Yeah. No, Mike definitely, because I think Mike spent like $60,000 on that show.
I don't know.
I think that was the number.
60?
It was remember, just the building, just to walk into the building and put a wrestling ring on and have a show was like 12.
It was 10 or something, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. But
yeah, that building's expensive.
So
it's hard to even if you sell it out.
Yeah, it's hard to make your money back
because of the people you're paying and the price points of wrestling tickets. It's really hard to make.
MLW made the money.
You have to have serious merchandise.
Yeah. And MLW made the money because they had the merch, they had the videos, they had all that stuff. So they were
videos were a huge
huge
help back in the day.
Yeah, that DVD sales were everything back then. So I just remember like, okay, cool, but I know it's my last night. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna ruffle any feathers, but I am gonna have the match I'm gonna have. And who's gonna yell at me? Who's gonna fire me? I don't give a fuck.
You were.
I was free.
Yeah.
So I told Johnny that, and I was like, Johnny, as long as you're okay with this, and Johnny didn't give a fuck because he's half the reason I even did the match because I was done.
Yeah, no, these guys weren't excited to work for Broder.
No.
You and I had built the relationships with these people.
We had
only thing that got them excited was him opening up the wallet.
Yeah. Before the show, my last moment was the Ronin 2 show 2 weeks prior with the Joey Bricko incident with Agony.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I decided to leave when Mike took that piece of shit's fucking word over mine. Mm-hmm. And I went, this dude you just met, he takes precedence over my word. I'd known Mike, 10 years at that point?
Probably.
I mean, it was, for people that knew and befriended Mike Broder, there's a cycle.
There is a cycle.
There's a cycle.
I've been through that wash, rinse, repeat cycle twice.
And I went through it.
I wouldn't say that I'm not totally at fault.
Yeah.
But,
But and I remember that the next morning I woke up at like 8 a.m. I had hurt my back. A few weeks prior to that, I forgot what it was, but I hurt my back. I don't know if it was working out match prior. I couldn't remember what it was. And he had gotten mad at me because I was supposed to work Colt Cabana, but I'm like, Mike, I can't do that match. I was like, if I'm going to work one match this year, it's going to be War Memorial. I'm not working Colt, getting hurt, and then not being able to work. War Memorial was important to me. I wanted to work in that building. It was so many memories are at the War Memorial Auditorium. And so many great wrestling memories. So I wanted to be one of them. And I ended up just not in the fashion that I was hoping. Yeah. And he fought me over that. But he also booked Colt without talking to me. Or I suppose one day we should go really in the deep dive about that, and we will. But yeah, it was a big point of contention. By the time we came to the War Memorial Building, Mike and I were supposed to do a in-ring segment after the match. I got to the building and it was the first time I'd seen him in 2 weeks. But I was really like, "Hey Mike, listen, I'm here just to do my thing, man. No, nothing. No heat, no nothing. Just let's get through tonight." And he agreed. We actually had a decent interaction. I felt good afterwards, Sandy, not so much, but then again at that point I could give a fuck about her, so it didn't bother me. But we had on the paper this interaction. And I'm like, listen, are we still doing this? Because maybe Johnny and I should just do our match and call it. And he goes, I'm sick. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Plus, he's probably like, also at that point, like realizing this show's gonna financially be a huge fucking
Yeah,
disaster.
his mind is, and it's only because we know him. His mind isn't even really with what's happened.
He's having a Sabu moment.
Yes, he's crunching numbers and he's not liking what he sees. Yeah. So, and if you've worked with him long enough, especially with the conventions, you understand, like right off the bat when he looks at you, you're like, oh, okay, I know who I'm dealing with here. Yeah. Like, okay, cool, because there's a couple different versions of Mike Broder, and one of them, the convention Mike Broder, you just nice short right. What needs to be done? Okay, cool. We'll do the pleasantries later. Yeah. And I was like, all right, it's cool with that. We were both on the same page. And when Johnny came to the building, I showed him everything, and he was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I know, man. I'm like, but this is what my thought is, Johnny. My thought is, let's get with Eddie, who is supposed to cut the promo. Let's cut that promo in half. And then I think I Pearl Harbored him right off the bat. For those who don't know, I was like, the second that promo was over, I attacked him from behind. We went straight into the match hot. Bruce was the ref, who was in on everything too. And I don't know what the
probably begging to take a bump and cut himself open.
Oh, 100%. 100, yeah. Always. Bruce is going to be 92 years old. And he's going to want to take a top rope fucking pile driver and through a fucking flaming table.
Especially since neither of you had headgear you could put on.
Yeah.
He had this tradition of anyone that had anything that they wore on their head.
Yeah.
If it came off in the match, he would find a way to put it on.
I think at some point, if FSCW had lasted another couple shows, we'd have made a Cobra mask for him to wear at some point. We'd have made that a short-term one show or two show gimmick. Because Bruce is always down for that kind of stuff. So our match comes up. We go out there. And the match before us was like a 4-5 man hardcore match. It had fucking Just Incredible, who was not in incredible shape, I would say, mentally or physically. Just the payday to keep the lights on. Anyway, at some point in that match, they broke the ring.
One of the boards that I had begged Mike to fix at the first Ronin show. But we were trying to save costs at first. Like the first Ronin show was run on a budget, and then everything afterwards was what it became. I can't speak to because I didn't have my direct involvement ended after I was told how fantastic of a job I was doing, and then yeah, my responsibilities just kept slowly being removed away for whatever reason. I just love that. I take pride in the fact that you and I ran a better fucking set of shows on zero money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, once we're fired, the fucking wallets are opened up.
And everything gets progressively worse.
Yeah.
So we go out there. We see the soft spot in the ring. So I point it out. I tell Bruce to point it out to Johnny. We all understand him. That comes into play. We go out there. I think Johnny and I think we had a good match. I really do. I thought it was a good match, and I'm happy for it. Halfway through the match, we're starting to get ready to get to the ending sequences. He comes off the top with a crossbody. I catch him, roll through, pick him up to do a Death Valley driver. Except my foot lands, my plant foot lands right in the hole in the ring.
Right, where there's broken, where the rotten wood has broken. And
2 months prior to this, I'd hurt my back. Didn't wrestle Colt Cabana because of a hurt back, so I could do this match. Johnny's not a small person.
Boom, boom, Colt Cabana. Boom, boom.
Johnny's not a small person, but he's not a big person. You just how happened. He's about what, $180, 85.
Back then or now?
Yeah, back then. Now he's fucking jacked as fuck.
Yeah.
He's probably a lot leaner though. I don't know. But
he was always lean.
Yeah. Johnny's always been in fantastic shape. But I stepped in a bad spot, and I can tell you, I gave it everything I had, but we fell over. I couldn't do. I had no balance.
Can't do it on one foot.
I couldn't do it on one foot.
Yeah.
I tried so. There might have been a moment where we were just paused, and I'm just like, I'm not like yelling or exerting, but I'm concentrating as hard as I could. But I couldn't hold it.
You know what I'm just thinking of before we get any more of this?
What?
Since you went and did the hug scene around the world, maybe and this is so inside that nobody's gonna get it. No. Maybe you should pick up communication with Trevor and ask if he has access. Don't they have access to all that old footage?
Eric has access to all that footage.
Get that fucking match, and we should just do commentary from beginning of that match to the end of the promo.
Oh yeah,
we should just get our hands on that.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll reach out. I'll see what can be done.
Yeah, I think that would be a fantastic thing to talk about.
So, we follow
while we watch it because I've never seen it. I was at home.
That's right.
Not knowing you were going to call. And me looking at the watch going, that show should still be going on. Why is he calling me?
And we fell over. I think I covered the best we could. And we ended up going. So the finish was they wanted Johnny to hit me with his finish for a very strong 1, 2, 3. That was what was on the books, and Johnny wasn't cool with it, and I wasn't gonna do it. So I went for my finisher at the time. I used a standing Steiner screwdriver, which is one of my most. I'm impressed that I was able to do that on a consistent basis to people safely. I was proud that I was able to pull that shit off. Which is basically a standing suplex straight into a pile driver. It's impressive. I suggest you look it up and go, ooh, yeah. My favorite ones I gave Leva. That no one capitalized off that shit.
Right. At the height
of Blue Pants.
Of her being Blue Pants.
Yeah.
Like at the height, they didn't just isolate that clip and put it online over and over and over again.
And it was picture perfect.
Yeah,
it's the best one I ever hit. Actually, the one I hit Priscilla with was. I guess I beat up on women the best.
I was going to say this theme of victimizing women is coming clear here all of a sudden.
So I go for the screwdriver. He reverses it into a small package. We pulled it off perfectly. 1, 2, 3, kick out. Match is over. The crowd the crowd reacts, and the second Johnny turns around, I think I blast him, hit him quickly with the screwdriver. Bruce and I get in the face. I blast Bruce, so he gets to take his bump.
Yeah.
I get all the reaction in the world because at this point I've got this weird I'm 100% the asshole heel, but they 100% don't care. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because of it's like kind of like Austin-ish kind of, where it's just like, oh yeah, because you and the owner, fuck him, kind of thing. I don't know. I can't ever explain it. People love me. I go to leave.
But you'd had that going for
a while.
And just in whatever independent scene there was in South Florida.
I go to leave the ring because the match is over. And we talked about everything beforehand. I give it no thought whatsoever.
Right, because you said we're not doing this.
Yeah. So I was like, no thought. I'm about to leave. And I hear, Prime! I look over, there's Broder with a microphone in his hand by the ring announcers. And I'm like, what? And we're live, so I can't give it too much thought.
He wasn't. I thought he was on the ring apron.
No, he was on the ring apron. He was standing. He was standing by the ring. He was,
I thought he was leaning on the ropes.
No, he was leaning on the ring apron.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't on the ring yet.
Oh, he eventually got up.
He eventually got up to the ring. So he handed me the mic, and
well, did he say something first, or did he hand it to you first?
He never icked me anything. He just handed me the mic, and I'm like, I guess we're doing this.
So which is even more confusing. So you're ready to leave.
I'm ready to leave.
Hold on.
I think.
Hold on.
My foot was out of the ropes. I think I was on my way. He
calls your name, doesn't say anything else, hands you the mic?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It was.
That's weird.
Because I remember distinctly just kind of looking at him. But live crowd, the match just happened.
Right.
I can't give this too much thought.
But it's just weird that that's the exchange.
Yeah.
So it's like You're leaving.
Yeah.
Hey, come here.
Yeah.
Says nothing else.
Nope.
And hands you the mic.
He hands me the mic.
Like, at least engage the conversation first because you're leaving.
So
Why would he call you over? God,
so then
call you over to be like, here, here, shit on me.
Yeah, and for anybody who listens who knows Mike's side,
because you guys did like a promo or two that went on the internet, shit talking.
We've been doing it for months.
You had created like friction between you and Mike,
100%
that people were aware of.
Yep.
So why would he call you over and then just hand you the mic before saying anything first?
And for anybody out there that knows
dumb.
his side of the story and may want to defend him, and to his defense, the match is over. I'm ready to leave. We're a live crowd. I don't know what's happening. He may have said something to me.
Okay.
And maybe I didn't even
This is why we need the footage.
Register it. Because,
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, because you have to remember the big thing. The big thing is him and Sandy told people was they couldn't figure out how I got a microphone. And there's footage of him handed me one.
Yeah.
But how did Prime get the microphone?
This is weird.
Yeah.
The only footage I've seen is of
the Al's girlfriend.
took from like, the nosebleed seats.
Yeah, it's the same footage I've seen.
Which is just, and him saying you're fired and blah, blah. And you talking about purses and balls.
I have the microphone in my hand. I don't know what's happening, but I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to do this, okay, we'll do this. And what are the best promos? The best promos are the promos you mean the most. And I was so frustrated. I was so angry about everything, about the way that I had felt like I had done this thing where they had gone out of their way, by the way, to tell me how well this thing was that I did. I have always done right by Mike. And we've known each other for so long that I was so disappointed at this point that I was happy not to do this moment because I knew what would happen with a microphone in my hand. And what I was worried about came to fruition because a microphone went in my hand and I went off. I don't remember everything I said, but I know I torched Sandy and I know I torched Mike. And there's the couple famous sayings about, hey, why wife give you your balls for 2 seconds so you could be a real man, or whatever the fuck I said. I don't know. I called her a ginger cunt. I did all kinds of fucking shit. I
don't know if you did that publicly, did you?
I think I did, Ben. I think I did.
We really need this footage.
I think I did. I think
Eric is getting a reach.
I think I had my Shane Douglas moment. And I just didn't realize I had it until after the fact. And I invited him in the ring, and Lou comes to get in the ring. Ellie, who is his bodyguard, old ex-Israeli Special Forces, and all around
walking PTSD.
Yeah, he goes to get in the ring with Mike, and I'm sitting back going like, all right, what is happening? Because this is not even what we talked about. So he gets the mic. And he does, and I think it's very short. I think it's just hey, you're fired. And I just take that as my cue to leave. And I think I robbed the crowd, or I don't know what I said afterwards. But like as I'm leaving, I turn around and there's Drew Bricko, and who was Drew's boy?
The other one, the goofy one.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but he always brought monsters because he was a monster rep.
Or something.
So he always brought fucking cases of monsters.
God, it's bothering me. I can't remember his name.
I know his real name.
One of the Boston boys.
I know his real name, but I no one will know that. I forgot what they called him. But
it was something goofy.
Yeah, it was something very goofy. He wasn't in the wrestling business. He was just this jack guy.
Like Body Scotty or something something dumb like that.
It was something dumb that Drew came up with in like 8 seconds. Because at that point, Drew was realizing every time he stepped in the ring, Mike would pay him. So he was booking himself like 4 or 5 different spots during the show. So I thought, when I turned around and saw Drew, I'm like, you motherfucker, you got another payday. Because he was real open about it. Because why not? And he's like, why am I out here? Like, we're face to face. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I don't know why I'm out here. I'm like, I don't know why you're out here. We're in front of a live crowd. Everything that just happened. And now I'm face to face with the second biggest heel in the company. And he's like, what do we do? And I'm like, Drew, I don't know what's happening. So he's like, what if I just grab you by the back of your neck and we go back in the back? I'm like, that sounds better than what we're doing right now. So that's what happened. Like and by the way, we're looking at each other. We're sneering. And I mean, it looks like we're about to fucking fight. And we're just both like, what?
Which is cool because it's like if it was to set up the next thing or something, you guys are nose to nose. You're snarling. You could have brawled into the back and they called it a day.
And he was like, I don't know either. And so you get this awkward exchange.
All I'm hearing is like money signs, you know?
It was something else, man. I mean, we got right to the back. I was like, Drew, what the hell? He goes, they told me to go out there and do what? He goes, I don't know. And he's like, I think they wanted me to beat you up. He goes, were you going to fight? And he's like, obviously not. Because the backstory is Mike brought Drew because he thought Drew was going to like fight me. I do not understand that.
It's weird. Like I've come to the understanding because I don't think I had met. I'm not sure if I had met Drew at that.
You had not met Drew at that point.
This was before,
the first time you met him was with the Fugazi Russian tan,
right? When he was purple, and like flaking everywhere. But at that point, I think they thought he was like their all-purpose guy. Like we're paying him so much that he'll do security for us. He'll do this and that. Like to send him out there to like wrangle you as if they're treating you like a real problem, like a shoot problem. Yes! And now they're sending Drew out there to handle you. Yes! And it's like this is and like I mean it's probably unfair for me to call people names, but the word money mark keeps coming up. Like, I don't think Mike understood that everyone just saw him as a fucking like a payday.
Oh yeah.
Like there was, and he like the way that wallet opened up after you and I left, you know, because God forbid he looked like the bad guy, not paying anyone what they're worth.
Yeah.
Or what they think, you know, like we were the buffer. Yeah. So he gave us a budget for a show, and we had to fucking make it work with that money. And so now that the books are open, and it's all open, it's like, so they're happy. I mean, Drew's happy to go out there because, like you said, it was probably another $50 in his pocket. It's so funny.
We go to locker room,
but the concept, like. From the two sides of it, the way Drew's looking at it, the way Mike's looking at it.
Oh, 100%.
And Mike thinks like, oh, Drew's my boy.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to throw him all this money. And Drew's like, what the, like, you know, like at the end of the day, you know,
it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And I was further confused because I'm like, then why would Mike get in the ring if he thought I was going to be like a shoot issue? What was Lou going to do? First off, I'd have fucking ripped him apart. Like right. Ellie would have killed me, but hey, you know, I would have went down swinging in front of witnesses. Right.
You'd have at least had a lawsuit.
The parts of me that were left alive. We get to the locker room, and Johnny and I are kind of like trying to disseminate what happened. We both realize and recognize we had a good match. We had the one flub that was not our problem.
Right.
We covered it the best we could.
The shame is that now all this other shit has happened in the ring after that.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers your match.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a great finish. The finish, wonderful. With an ending sequence that I didn't particularly see coming. But hey, so Ellie comes back about 5 minutes later. And he's like, you got to go. And I'm like, what? He goes, Mike wants you out of this building. I'm like, Ellie, you fucking with me? He's like, no, man, he's fucking pissed. I'm like, no, Ellie, seriously, do I have to leave? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, Ellie, you know that was all a work, right? He goes, look, I don't know what's happening, but Mike and Sandy are livid and they want you gone. And I'm just like, all right, man, I'm going to go because don't particularly want to be here anyway.
Right.
I've done what I have come to do.
Listen, you got out of breaking the ring down.
I no, it's funny. Because I was the ring guy forever. 2 days before that, Wingy shows up with the Vendettes. I think the Vendettes.
Well,
who else would take the trailer?
Would have the capability of towing a ring other than someone that tows rings?
Because Mike didn't think I would show up with the ring, and that's when
when you knew.
That's when I knew. That's when I knew that.
Did you have conversations with any of them when they came over that were like super revealing?
No. They all three of them were just like, or everyone that was with.
Were they just very businesslike?
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah. Listen, man, we get
because at that point they were all getting paid by fucking.
And not only that,
by Fat Wallet over there.
They probably don't know what's really what who knows? Who knows?
Right. Except that they've known you for years.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to that part. So, because that's the part where this is the part that has lasted all this time. So I go to leave. Natalia comes around and she's like, "What's happening?" And I'm like,
had Sandy run up into the fucking stands?
Sandy ran up to
yelled at her and her mom.
Yep,
about you.
Had told me that I was a piece of shit and this and that, and they're like
it's amazing that like. How these business professionals, these successful individuals, are so like unprofessional. That. Like you're running a live show. You weren't the final match, were you?
No. We opened or closed intermission.
But this dumb bitch thinks it's appropriate to, in the middle of running a fucking show, to go yell at someone's girlfriend.
Yeah.
In the fucking stands, about it.
Oh yeah,
it's like what the fuck.
So
I mean, if it was all an angle, that's something else.
Mm-hmm.
When it all should have been.
And I don't know
and
what's happening.
You guys could have made money off of it.
I don't know if Mike at this point is. I don't know what's happening, but best situation is to leave. So I go, I'll leave. And I remember I told Natalia, I was like, listen, tell your mom to go. I was like, I gotta go. They're kicking me out. And she's like, it doesn't matter what this is. We got to go. We'll figure this out. I'm like, we'll meet up at, I told her, like, let's meet up at Flashback. Well, her mom ended up taking her car home, and she rode with me. So she comes out with me. It was me, her, Johnny, because Johnny wanted to come to my truck to smoke before I left.
Right, nothing was going to get in between that.
No,
like you getting evicted from the fucking, you getting like trespassed wasn't going to stop.
No,
well, listen, sir, we had an arrangement to go smoke first, so and, he will leave your premises, but we got to get one.
And
I'm
being escorted by Ellie.
Yeah,
and as we're walking, Ellie's like, "Well, you got to watch out. Lou's really hot," and I'm like, "Hot for what?"
Hot for teacher?
Yeah, like he wants to confront you, and I'm like, let him. This is a good time for this, because for the building better part of the entire time I've been in the wrestling business, I've wanted to rip Lou Spector's face off. So like, let's do it. This is a great moment for that. A great moment. In fact, I can't think of a better moment. So let's go outside and let's take care of this. And I just told him, Ellie, pull me off him before he dies. And Johnny's just like, you can't fight Lou, and I'm like, Johnny, I don't really think I had much to lose at this point, And well,
that's a problem. You don't stomp the cockroaches.
Yeah.
If you don't stomp the cockroaches, they're just gonna always skitter around. They're always gonna be a pest.
Fun side note because the way the War Memorial set up from where the locker rooms were, there's this tiny little walkway from the locker room to the exit door from the other side of the stage. And the stage is open because we got people sitting up there and shit. We got all the setup is up there.
Wait, are you coming out on the
door,
the side
door
where there's parking, right?
The other side, the other door.
Oh, so you're going out the other way. Okay.
Yeah, there was a bunch of dressing rooms. So that
I don't know where the dressing rooms are.
So I've
never been in the back. So, I only know if you're standing and looking at the front of the War Memorial, if you're facing the front to the right.
Yeah.
Right on that side is where, like, usually it's like talent parking and stuff like that.
Yes, but our entrance was the door on the left. If you look at the auditorium, and then they had the curtains up, and behind the curtains in the wall there was like a fucking 3-foot space. So as I'm walking down the space, there's Booker T, who I knew was there but hadn't seen him. And I shook his hand. He goes, "Hey, man, good match." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." He goes, "What was that afterwards?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know, but I got to go."
I forgot Booker T was on that show.
Yeah. Big, giant hands.
I've met him.
Like, you shook his hand. You were like, "You're just..." Again.
It's funny. You meet Booker T, and he's immense.
Yeah.
And then you meet his brother. Who I love. I loved. Me and Jackie used to hang out with him every now and then at the WCW hotels and stuff. Fucking tremendous guy. We all popped when we saw each other when Harlem Heat went in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Get this dog out of here. What are you doing? Hey, get out. And Stevie Ray is like the greatest person ever. We were so excited to see him. But man, that guy is fucking like Booker T's big. But it's that thing. Wait till you meet his brother.
Yeah, no shit. And it's just funny because you're like, I think most people would say like, "Hey man, yeah, you're a big guy." No. Booker T's a big guy. Okay. So we leave. We get to my truck, loading up. I'm talking with Ellie. I'm like, "Ellie, you know me. I'm telling you, I promise you, if you have an opportunity to get Mike aside from everybody, please impart on him everything that was done in that ring was for the show. I love Mike. I love Sandy. I don't have up to this point, Ben, yes. But I'm in a situation now where
I think you had growing issues.
Yes, but I didn't understand what was happening. So I was like, "Ellie, if you have an opportunity, please talk to Mike. See what the fuck is happening. Have him call me. I don't know what happened here. I don't know where this went astray, where I went wrong." And as we're having this conversation, a parking lot away, I hear "Prime," and I'm like, "What?" And he just "Prime," and I'm like, "What's happening?" And Ellie goes, "That's Lou." I'm like, "Is Lou Spector wandering around the parking lot drunkenly screaming my name?" He goes, "Yeah." And a night that was baffling. I was like, "What is happening?" And I'm like, "This is my chance. I'm going to destroy Lou Spector. I can't take this pent up aggression and rage and I just feel all these different emotions. But I've always wanted to beat the fuck out of Lou Spector. This is my moment." I was like, I'll let him tire himself. I had this whole thing plotting in my head about how I was just going to let him tire himself out hitting me. Because the dude weighs $105. He's not hurting me, especially at this stage of my life. So I was just like, I'm going to let him feel completely embarrassed, and then I'm going to fucking destroy him. I was just going to take all my anger out. And I had this whole thing playing in my head in like this span of seconds. And Johnny's like, "You should just go." I go, but I know. But he's like, "What looks worse? What are the optics here?"
Why is Johnny Vandal the voice of reason?
I don't know, because he wanted weed. I don't know. He probably wanted to see it, but he understood. He could see me. He could see the wheels turning.
He was afraid he was going to have to get involved too.
Oh yeah, he might be an accessory.
Not afraid, but just didn't want to.
Maybe be an accessory to a crime.
Didn't want to get sucked into a brawl.
Yeah, and of course Natalia's like, we need to go, and Ellie's just kind of like, "I'll stop you before he dies."
Yeah.
Because I don't think Ellie much like fucking Lou either.
I don't think many people like
that.
that.
So I contemplated it, but then I was like, you know what? You're right, Johnny. Like, it's the good move. It's just to go home. So that's what I did. And as we're leaving, he's just wandering around in the street, and we lock eyes as I drive past, and he just stares at the truck as we pull out of the War Memorial. I could see him in the rear view, just staring at my truck. Not screaming, not gestating, not doing anything, just watching as we leave, turn the corner and everything. And I remember my first immediate thought was like, that is easily the weirdest experience that I've ever had.
I wonder if he like panicked that you were coming to him. Like that
I would not.
Like he realized that you were in that truck and he was worried you were going to stop.
I was
like
gonna
all
say,
that bluster and calling out.
I would totally not have hit Lou with my
like,
truck. That's
no.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
oh yeah, just stop and go. Oh, just go. Hey, by the way,
I heard you looking for me.
Yeah, here I am. What are we doing?
Right.
Yeah, no, I wanted to, Ben. I wanted to.
I feel like that was all for show what he was doing.
Of course it was. Of course because you have to remember he goes through these stages of being in and out of favor with Mike, and he was just coming back into an in favor stage after being out of favor. The last time anyone had seen Lou was when Beast choked him out at the clubhouse.
At the clubhouse, yeah.
And we bid him adieu. I think there was few people got kicked out that night. Was
that the night? What's the name got thrown out for
the coasters?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Great Coaster Caper
that he literally had just been given like that day or the day before.
So in Mike's defense, he had a lot of shitty people around him, but you and I were not one of those.
I mean, I'm not an angel, but
no, we never.
Mike and I are the same fucking scumbag. I'll just put it that way. We have lied, cheated, and stealed in the same ways to the same people, to each other, et cetera, et cetera. I don't do a lot of those things anymore. Mike doesn't do a lot of those things anymore. Yeah. But, to say that we don't slip into our bad habits every now and then is whatever. But but we come from the same cloth of that retail comic book industry. Everyone is a fucking lying thief, backstabbing piece of shit.
But then
it's hard to come out of there clean.
Oh, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And then the only person I could think of, and only because he only shows up when he can, is Ralph.
Yeah.
He's just the coolest dude. No skeletons or anything.
No. He's not. He's not from those pits of hell. We spent time in.
So then we went to Flashback Diner. I called you. Yeah. So here we get to the learning curve of tonight. The learning curve was I got to Flashback Diner. Mark had contacted me.
Right.
And he goes, "What should we do?" I guess their match hadn't happened yet. And I was like, "Mark, man, dude, collect that paycheck.
Yeah.
Have fun, man. You're working War Memorial. Like, have the fun. But, bro, thanks for reaching out.
He was the only guy that asked me when I got thrown out of SuperCon. He was the only one that said, hey, man, what
I heard from Mark, who at that time also represented Nick, Swifty, and Jude.
Yeah.
And we're all like, what the fuck? Because everyone thinks I have heat with Jude because of this, and I don't. And I was just like, yeah, man, just guys, do your thing, man, right? Fuck it, whatever, man, just hang out. He's like, I got to figure a few things out. But again, always appreciate the fact that Mark was always always there to hey, man, what's going on, kind of thing. He cares. Mark actually fucking cares. And then I called you. Did you come to Flashback?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's how I got the whole story.
Yeah, that's right. And, man. But from that moment on, that was him who represented his group of friends, and you. That was it. Everyone else, all the beasts, the agony, by the way, who started all of this, because the Bricko situation is where I told Mike to his face, you choose your family over this motherfucker or you're going to lose all of this. Mm-hmm. And he did not heed those words, obviously. Because I only stood up to Mike because of what happened to Aaron like I did. So Aaron, over the course of the last couple of years, has become a pretty big piece of human garbage. But, we also have other stuff about that. But all these other guys, the Trevors, the Mikes, the fucking... all these people that... the only reason they even exist on that stage was because I spoke up for them and put them on paper. And in a lot of cases, fought for them to be on the show for Mike. And a lot of them times I was proven right and they became regulars. All the people we brought on, that we gave how many chances to, And... it was great for the months to come to not hear from any of them.
Yeah.
Because it really showed. I mean, that was my big lesson in life of everyone who's your boy. Yeah. They're not so much your boy when they might have to sacrifice an opportunity or two to stand by you. Which I was willing to leave SuperCon entirely just to prove a point over the agony situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that reciprocation never happening. In fact, I think Aaron worked for Mike for really until the point until he stopped running shows. Which just comes to show you, listen, everything that happened post you and me just shows the character of the people involved. And I'm not going to shit on them, but it is what it is. So that's I got kicked out of the War Memorial story.
I think we've told it before, but
I'm
it doesn't
pretty sure
matter
we have.
because we always have new people listening.
Yeah. And I will try to hunt down that footage because I'd like to know what I said on that microphone because it ended everything.
I'm just curious to A, see the match, and B, see what happened after. Is real, like, especially, I mean, the cameras were rolling the whole time, so if it's raw footage, we have until we have the Drew stuff, we have all the not all the non-backstage stuff to, like, see where people were at different times. And
maybe... I wonder if I hit up Trevor if he would release that stuff because he owns all the footage. I wonder.
We think. I mean, we assume he does, right?
I mean,
he bought it lock, stock, and barrel.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I think it's been enough time to be like, listen, I just want to.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity. I mean, was he going to cause waves and ripples? Was he not going to?
There's no heat to have anymore.
Does he even wrestle at the? I don't even know if he wrestles at the SuperCon shows. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't.
Is there wrestling at the SuperCon shows?
I mean the GalaxyCon, whatever. It's fucking new convention.
I wonder if they're going to do it for the new SuperCon.
I don't think so. Someone was asking me about this. I think it was, I forget who was just asking me about it. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think that's a passion thing. You don't have wrestling at conventions unless you love wrestling.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I think it's too much of an expense. For the amount of money you can spend on having wrestling at your show, you could have like a good guest. You could get another fucking good guest, And I guess some people look at that business and be like, well, they don't know that the wrestling's going to draw as many people as, like, say, getting Joe Blow from the fucking space shoot 'em up show, That'll be there for a day signing autographs. But let's get out of this one. We've been running our mouths a long time.
To the best of my recollection, I'm pretty sure I forgot a lot of shit. I always do. I have like the worst memory. I remember getting fucking toasted after that because I'm so like I needed to come down. So I'm pretty sure I made more phone calls than
especially with schmucks like Lou Spector screaming for your head. Yeah. It's like
I'm pretty sure I got
not?
I'm pretty sure I got Huss involved at some point too.
How do you not smoke all the bowls? Yeah. Well, I think he got yelled at even too. Like, that's your boy.
That's right. Because he was sitting. Oh fuck! I forgot all that
Huss
shit.
Huss is like, what are you yelling at me for?
Fuck! Oh my god! I'm so sorry, Huss. I totally fucking blanked out on that.
He doesn't give a shit.
I forgot he was sitting ringside. Yeah, he's how I knew why Drew was out there. That's right, because he filled in those blanks. Oh shit. Okay, see, I told you, bro. It happened so long ago, and enough CTE later.
Right.
we can only remember what we can. All right, so let's get out of here. Let's get to nerd talk because that's
we'll do the other one. I guess.
Buy merch, like, subscribe,
visit all our links,
put our names on the moon,
click some of the links that make us money and don't cost you much. What do you do, man?
I accidentally turned the mic off.
God, you're the fucking worst, man. Why you gotta touch everything?
I don't know.
On a thing that's like perfectly placed for you to just talk and not have to touch everything. God damn.
Like, subscribe. Etch our podcast links into your girlfriend or boyfriend's car hood with a rusty knife or something. Out of love and out of help for us. I don't know. Just do stuff.
That's terrible.
Just do all this stuff to make us rich, famous, powerful, so we don't have to have real jobs.
I don't think that's even happening anymore.
Listen, man.
I think we're working till the day we die.
Oh, I'm hoping not.
I know. I'm just kidding.
All right. Okay, bye.